We've had 9 different winners of races so far this year. We could be on, perhaps should be on, for a 10th. The circuit is wet, the 5-second board is shown. Round 15 of the Quick Fix British Touring Car Championship from Oulton Park is go, and a good getaway by Shedden, an even better start by Josh Cook, and Jake Hill gets a good start. Dan Robots moves across on him. They get all very, very busy running up alongside one another down towards Oulton Hall for the first time. Shedden will lead the way, Cook second, Hill third, Robo goes fourth. So Gordon Shedden leads, but others run wide coming out of Oulton Hall as they drop down the avenue for the first time. Toyota leads Honda.
Yeah, slightly slow initially from Shedden, but he managed to hold the lead. I thought he was going to lose it, but it looked to me very much like Jake Hill was almost in the pit wall.
Absolutely right, because he committed, and then Dan Robotham moved across as they come down towards a very wet Island Bend hairpin for the first time. Shedden with all of that experience. And if you're thinking to yourself, yeah, Knock Hill, rain, don't think about that, because right now in Cheshire, it is Gordon Shedden that leads the way, and I'm sure it'll be bright and sunny at Knock Hill when we get there in August. Shedden leading Cook, small gap to Hill third. Robo is fourth, and that's Cook going straight on into his lots up the escape road, and he's going to have to slot in behind Shedden, which he does, and Jake Hill's going to get past as well.
Yeah, well, he definitely hasn't gained an advantage. He could have rejoined in front of Hill, I think, without having gained an advantage. He gave up a little bit too much, but it's very hard to see in the car where everybody is, actually, when you're rejoining. You can't turn your head, and the mirrors are very small. But
that's Chris Smiley out of the race, so a really up and down sort of a day for Restart Racing. I was going to say Gordon Shedden's got a really big lead at the end of the opening lap with Jake Hill second, and then Josh Cook in third place. Here they come through Lodge Corner, but the Toyota is out on its own.
Yeah, the circuit's quite patchy, isn't it? There are areas of the circuit that are not too wet and others that are very wet. So it is quite different around there. It won't be too long before the guys perhaps even start to search out a bit of wet side by side. Sometimes the outside is quicker for grip, and Cook's going all the way around the outside of Jake Hill.
Nicely done. Gordon Shedden with all that experience leads the way. Cook's got the inside line for Cascades, but Jake Hill stands his ground. Good racing, and Jake Hill is ahead as Adam Morgan pits in front of us. So Hill, Cook, Robotham, second, third, fourth as yellow lights, yellow flags because of Chris Smiley's demise. But Gordon Shedden using all of the experience to good use and being helped by this battle, delaying the 3 behind.
Yeah, that was great side-by-side racing. The lines are very different in the wet, so what worked for Josh Cook at turn 1 didn't work for him at turn 2 and was repeated by Jake Hill.
And he's under attack from Robotham, look, as well, as they come into his lots. So Shedden led at the opening end of the opening lap by a second and a half. This is Sutton's view as he comes now on the back of Dan Camish through his lots. Chris Smiley's car parked up the escape road. That's the green light to say it's okay, you can carry on overtaking now and build up your speed once more the other side of the incident zone. So Cook here with Robotham behind him. Now look, they've dropped off the back of Jake Hill just a little bit, and that BMW now is the main threat to Gordon Shedden if Jake can get away from the others behind him.
Well, he's not scampering away, is he? They're keeping him honest that it was Robotham puts the lights on, again signalling intent, but Cookie blocks him, but outbrakes himself. Oh, Cookie was looking in the mirrors to defend from Robotham. He outbraked himself, and is he going to keep going? Maybe on the wet tarmac, on the wet gravel, he can keep going. But yeah, Jake Hill has always been really quick in these conditions, and he has kept going, so that will be good.
But that's the second mistake under braking from Josh Cook here, and of course at his lots on the opening lap. So is there something more than him just outbraking himself? Was there an issue?
It could be just brake bias not being correct, but he's enough experience to know where to set it. But yeah, it is unusual to see 2 mistakes like that.
And in quick succession, yeah. So Shedden leads. The gap is a second and a half. Last time around he was quicker again. Robotham is on the move as well. Max Hall there, you're looking at the back of as he comes out of Cascades down towards the hairpin. Everyone been hunting for traction.
Moffat and Hall were both slow coming off Cascade, so I think they'd had a little incident which is carrying on. They're around the rest of the lap side by side.
Indeed so, and Josh Cook went over the line 21st. We've lost Smiley. Adam Morgan has rejoined. No, Adam Morgan has also stopped after pitting. So after a good result in the earlier race in the Hyundai, big stride for Morgan early days in this. Right, up front, Shedden to Hill, but Shedden gapping the rest of them because Hill has now got Robotham up behind him. Let's have a look at sector times. In the first one, yeah, Hill and Robotham demonstrably quicker than the leader, Shedden, and I'm still convinced Cook's got a problem. That's not a quick car.
No, he's not going at full race pace. Well, Robotham was actually alongside Hill coming into that shot of them going into his lot chicane we saw briefly. He's really flying. Cam is trying to get past Proctor. Remember, this is Proctor's first time experiencing the wet, isn't it? He's only just come back at Thruxton. We didn't have any wet there, so he's got a feel for it very quickly. Oh, down the inside, throws the Camish, but don't forget there's more grip on the outside now. Sutton's got a great run on the both of them.
So Sutton tries to get ahead of Camish and gets all sideways again. Sutton goes through, and now it's up to him to try to attack Senna Proctor, and all of this is going on for 4th, 5th and 6th. Sutton gets a really good run out of Cascades, comes up alongside. Camish did the fastest lap of the race last time through, but actually he's got shuffled back in the pack, and look how that lead gap is coming down, 1.4 seconds now. So Shedden still being chased by Hill, then Rowbottom, it's Sutton 4th, it is Proctor 5th, it's Camish in 6th. Ash Sutton charges on now as you get the replay of what happened to Camish on the inside, sideways.
Little bit of contact there, here, listen to the wheel spin on Sutton's car. He didn't want to lift off at all, did he? Yeah, a little bit of a sideways moment from Camish allowed Sutton to get inside. But then look, Proctor runs wide and Sutton gets a great run off the corner and actually manages to outbrake him on the outside. Gains 2 places in 100 yards.
Gordon Shedden is still being caught. Look, Josh Cook's car limping on. There is clearly a big issue with that, and it's almost at snail's pace as the lead gap continues to come down. Jake Hill is getting closer and closer and closer. Let's have a look at what happened to Tom Ingram here, being roughed up by Mikey Doble down at Hislop. So a bit of hit and shoulder. Ting bounces back onto the track.
Bounces on the track, no advantage gained, carry on. But you're right, that lead battle is closing up. It's going to be a very nice 3-way fight in a minute, isn't it?
It is indeed.
And that could allow Sutton in 4th to close up.
Yeah, so Shedden to Hill is under a second now. Jake's just done the fastest lap of the race. It's 0.9 of a second as the leaders go through. Sutton next up, he's doing a 33.9. He's not, yeah, he's again quicker than the race leader Gordon Shedden. So it's all concertinery with Proctor 5th, Camish 6th. In 7th place now is Mikey Doble. 8th it is Tom Chilton. Tom Ingram is 9th. James Dorlin is 10th. And Darrell de Leon's rather testing day brings him into the pits.
Yeah, they're not preparing slicks there. Looks like, if anything, they're preparing another wet tyre. Are they going to take them all off? I'm not sure. Yeah, slicks going on.
Interesting.
Well, that's going to... I mean, they're not ready for him, and they need to do it on the same lap, and that must be
Dan Lloyd,
because Smiley's already stopped.
Indeed so. So Dan Lloyd you saw going up the escape road. He was in 11th place. Oh, what a day. So the race leader is Gordon Shedden. The gap was 9/10 of a second when they went across the line. There is Shedden, there is Hill. Rowbottom is 3rd. And through the spots of water on the camera lens, you see Sutton 4th. That's Stephen Jelly, who's gone straight on and up the escape road, going now through Hislop. He rejoins and then gets a little bit wide and onto the curb as Max Hall scampers past him. You can tell it's race 3, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. And Moffat, which signs of that earlier rubbing with Max Hall, he's got a wing that's just flapping a bit. Well, we know the clerk of the course doesn't like loose bodywork. That certainly constitutes it.
Does rather. So the race leader is Gordon Shedden, and the gap from 9/10 is 6/10 of a second now as Jake Hill gets ever closer. There they are with Rowbottom, this constant shadow in 3rd place, looking to bank yet more points. So tense times for Gordon Shedden, because that's not been the quickest car all season, but he's got so much experience as Gordon. Remember, he knows exactly what to do. Ash Sutton, though, 4th, fastest lap of the race, so it could be a 4-way fight before long.
Yeah, and, I mean, I'm intrigued to watch the speed of the BMW. It was always very quick in wet conditions. Remember earlier in the year, though, it suffered when they were too wet, but these should be ideal conditions for the BMW.
But Gordon Shedden, a triple champion, is being reeled in. That is Josh Cook's day effectively done. So it's been a tough day all round for One Motorsport, but Gordon Shedden is very soon going to have to start defending. Remember, Jake Hill was a winner here last year. He got the lead off Mikey Doble on the last lap. So Jake never gives up. James Dorlin there alongside Tom Ingram, the Toyota on the inside, Ingram's Hyundai on the outside, and Dorlin's going to secure the place. Is he? And Ingram's another one that just can't find room to turn in. It's safer to get up the escape road. Yeah,
so there's a few people having problems there. Now, he's joined well ahead of Dorlin now, so he needs to give some time back, doesn't he? Look, he's slowed down, I think, but there's a big gap there.
But yes, Tom Ingram slows down to try and redress the balance, if you like. So
he's going to let him pass.
He is. He picks up that fight and slot in behind him and then play on, as it were. Down towards Lodge Corner they come. So James Dorlin goes through, and now Ingram picks up the pace. So that's how you should do it. don't gain an advantage, and self-censorship in a sense for Tom Ingram. Right, race leaders have gone through, and it's now 0.2 of a second between Shedden and Hill. Over the timing line goes Tom Ingram, but this is for the race lead, and Jake Hill almost fainting to the inside line there. Gordon Shedden has led the first 6 laps of the race. He may not lead a 7th because Jake Hill's getting closer, and the longer the BMW is stuck behind, the easier it's going to be for Dan Rowbottom to challenge. Look, it's nearly 3 for the lead once again. This, though, is where you'll see all of the experience of Gordon Shedden, and that's Max Hall in the Lodge corner gravel, and that may well, in fact, should trigger, I would have thought, a safety car.
Yeah, definitely, because he's exactly in the line of fire if somebody locks up the brakes and carries on into there. Those brave marshals trying to push it, but there's no way they're going to move that car without some mechanical help. But safety car is out, which gives us time to reflect as these 3 will immediately back off. What's fascinating to me is that Ingram is struggling in these conditions. Ingram is 12th. There isn't the sign of pace that you'd expect from him, and of course this is reminiscent of what happened at Brands Hatch at the title decider last year.
Yeah, but interestingly, Senna Proctor and Tom Chilton in the same car are further up the road, so 5th and 8th. Interesting, isn't it? Just while we've got the safety car, and as Tim says, we can pause for breath and reflect. It stopped raining, it's getting brighter, the cloud is breaking, and there's a little bit of blue sky, so the road might be drying a bit faster now.
Yeah, it could well do. I mean, especially if it takes, what they need to do is wait for everybody to close up behind the safety car, so the crocodile, if you like, is shorter. Then if you're near the back, when you stop and change tyres, you don't lose a whole lap because you can get back out in time. The sooner you do it as well, the better, because you have more time to warm your slicks up. But it's still very treacherous in places.
And Darrell De Leon lost a lap anyway with his pit stop, and it was sort of, as we'd seen, a bit impromptu. They weren't ready for him.
And the other thing is that if you've used your 2 soft tyres, the only option you've got is to put hard slicks on, which of course don't warm up as quick and don't offer as much grip either. But look, they're all driving around on the wettest parts of the circuit. They're all trying to cool their wet tyres as much as possible.
So the incident is down at Lodge Corner, where Max Hall's car is being retrieved. Safety car to Island Bend. Gordon Shedden there, the race leader, finds a big puddle on the outside of Island Bend, doesn't he? So the race order is Gordon Shedden in the lead, from Jake Hill 2nd, Dan Rowbottom 3rd. Ash Sutton is going to be a winner out of all of this because he'll close on the top 3. Remember, Sutton has done the fastest lap of the race. Senna Proctor 5th, Dan Camish is 6th, Mikey Doble 7th ahead of Tom Chilton, James Dorlin, Sam Osborne into the top 10 ahead of Charles Rainford. Ingram is down to 12th now. So not only did he have his moment with Dorlin at his lots, but he lost further places after that, suggesting that all is not well. Point scorers rounded out by Moffat, Jelly and Finn Leslie and his first touring car event. Now, Dan Lloyd, after his trip up the Escape Road, 18th.
Yes, this is Cookie still going slowly and looking like he's pulling off. He's got the indicator on. So there's obviously more things amiss because he came back out of the pit lane. Maybe they were just trying to check it, but I think he's indicating not so much to let to pull off, but just to let other cars pass. Or is he going to pull off? He's going very slowly. But yeah, the relative pace of Ingram, you know, he is battling with Osborne, Rainford, Moffat. If it were dry, he would not be in that situation. So I don't think they've got that wet pace right in that Hyundai anyway. On board with Ash Sutton. Yes, as you say, he will like this situation, closing up. The sun's come out now, so the track is going to dry ever so quickly after this.
There's still a bit of a breeze as well to get rid of the water. Max Hall's car, you saw a moment ago, out of the gravel on the inside of Lodge Corner in the vehicle access point. And while we have a moment behind the safety car, I think we probably aren't that far off going racing again. Let's look at Sutton's start.
Yeah, so this is the warm-up lap, this is the formation lap. He's just doing a practice start there. So it wasn't the actual race start, it was just a practice start.
So the car's coming towards Island Bend, and Gordon Shedden, race leader, we're on lap 9. Remember, the race can be extended by up to 3 laps with the safety car deployment. And people trying to look after their tyres now, whether it's to keep them cool, maintain the pressures. Safety car lights still on. It's when those lights go out we know we're going to have the indication to go back racing, but the hope would be it's this time, because the track is clear looking into the distance from where we are coming out of Deer Leap. It looks like everything is sorted.
Well, we saw earlier the safety lights didn't go out until the car was almost at Druids, which is coming up to now, which doesn't leave a lot of time for everybody to close up.
No, that's true. So the field then now coming up towards Druids. It was the other side of the double apex right last time. The lights were extinguished, and there they go. So the green flag is ready on the start line. Josh Cook has just made it back into the pits, which is a great relief, so nobody has to worry about getting past him when they go back racing. The troubled one, Motorsport Honda, is in the pit lane, and Gordon Shedden's Toyota Corolla leads the pack, but for how much longer?
But look, they're still coming round Druids. They haven't even been able to catch up the back of the field yet.
So Shedden gets to the go board at Deer Leap and will accelerate now. So Jake Hill sets off behind him, but Dan Rowbottom is on his toes, looking for the inside line as they head in towards Old Hall. Rowbottom up the inside line, goes for second place, and there's a little brush ever so slight between them, and here comes Sutton. Ash Sutton's got the inside line for Denton's, and he's got second. Fantastic move. Ash Sutton, brilliant opportunities. They're up to second briefly. Hill fights back. So Sutton is down to third, but Rowbottom, the one that lost out most.
Yeah, I mean, Sutton loves it when the cars in front rub going through Old Hall and he gets a run. He did, as you say, get into second, third briefly, but Hill fought back at Cascades and just eased him wide. So back down to third goes Sutton.
So it was a very opportunistic move coming out of Old Hall. It worked, but it put him on the wrong side for the next part of the racetrack as Jake Hill now tries to assert himself once more. Down to his lots. It's still Gordon Shedden in the lead ahead of Hill. Sutton third, Rowbottom fourth, and driver in the background, Mikey Doble gets hit. He gets turned across the front. I think everyone's missed him, and who went into the back of him? Is that Chilton's Hyundai? I think it is. So Tom Chilton got into the back, and he's obviously bound for the pit lane.
Obviously can't carry on like that, even though he can see underneath the front of the bonnet. And there's poor Mikey Doble's car nose into the barrier. He might be able to reverse out of there, actually. I hope so, otherwise we're going to have another safety car.
Tom Chilton's trying to get himself back to Druids and back to the pit lane safely. Shedden is still leading there, despite everything that you might expect to be thrown at him. He is still there, and the laps are ticking on down. Here comes Chilton, bang, into the back of Doble.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cars having problems braking there, gently into the barrier, so he should be able to reverse that out. But there's a lot of people locking up on the braking to his lock, so it's obviously a greasy part of the track. Chilton didn't do that deliberately, just ever so slightly outbraked himself.
Shedden, Hill, top two, Sutton, Rowbottom, third and fourth. So Jake Hill trying to make an attack now on that Toyota ahead.
And interestingly, Sutton, if you look, he's not really on the back of Hill, is he? I expected to see them come back into shot with Sutton all over the back of Hill. But these are changing conditions.
Yeah, he's a little bit closer as Hill attacks Shedden. Maybe Ash is just waiting to see what pans out between these two, because Jake, we know, is a really fiery character. He wants that lead, but it's a yellow flag. Safety car again. Second safety car period coming down towards his lop. So Gordon Shedden still leads the way, but the safety car has been called once more.
Well, I was looking to see if Mikey Doble's car remained there. I couldn't see it from that camera shot, but at the moment, yes, it is. That's why we've had to have that. That's a shame, because it wasn't a big impact or anything. I'm surprised he obviously just couldn't get it restarted.
And maybe on that wet grass, it's very difficult to reverse off it anyway. That Hislop chicane is not Mikey's place. It was there he lost a possible win last year when Jake Hill passed him on the last lap, remember? And now he's got a damaged car and he's out of the race. And a lot of damage. It wasn't just the bonnet popping up, was it, on Tom Chilton's car? Look at the front, really mangled.
Yeah, well, when you lock up, the car almost accelerates. And I mean, it doesn't look that bad, does it? But I guess the one car braking and one car almost speeding up, and explaining to Barry Ploughman there.
With the bonnet up to get through the slalom and avoid Chris Smiley's parked car. I'm impressed by that from Tom Chilton. Well done. Right, safety car 2 of this race, and we can only have a maximum of 18 laps. So Gordon Shedden now is the man thinking, right, let's stay out behind the safety car, because all of these laps are preserving my lead.
Well, yes, and yeah, he actually made a good restart, didn't he? He made a good restart. He held that lead. Denson Patterson in clearly for slicks. De Leon, who changed onto slicks, was still in 18th. But the problem they've got is that the safety car lights are going out so late. The people at the back of the pack have not closed up the Crocodile. So the advantage, they're losing a huge amount of track time. I saw on the restart, the cars at the back of the field were trailing over the line ages behind the ones in front. and it was supposed to be a nice tight line of cars all restarting together, but the safety car lights are going out too late.
Dexter Patterson is going to rejoin on the lead lap. Daryl De Leon lost a lap, so even though he's on slicks, he's out of the equation, as there is the safety car turning its way out of his lops.
And the interesting thing is that Dexter Patterson's managed to go out on soft tyres, so they will heat up quicker, which will be a good advantage.
So let's see how much longer the safety car is required. Well, it's going to be at least one more lap because the telehandler is only now arriving on the scene. So we're going to have a little bit more safety car lappery, I'm afraid. Mikey Doble putting his helmet back on because he'll be needed, I think, to get into the car and assist. Let's see. Telehandler arrives anyway. So Mikey Doble's car to be removed, and then we'll be in business.
Yeah, I think they're just going to tow it out the way. They're not going to lift it. I think they're just going to tow it. But he has to be in the car to steer it.
That's right.
Even backwards.
So, of course, while all this is going on, race control want to get the race back up and running as soon as. And all these laps eating into the available time that we have, with 18 being the maximum number of laps available.
I can tell you these wet tyres are going to be absolutely shredded at the end of the race. Absolutely shredded. Because the track is drying out so fast with the sunlight on it as well now.
So there's Ash Sutton then, and he is currently in third place. And Gordon Shedden, the race leader, perhaps on borrowed time.
Points as it stands, Sutton leads Ingram by 16 points. Dan Camish third, 71. Ingram has managed to gain a few places after that in between the two race starts. Remember, he was 12th, he's now 9th.
Yeah, that's right. And the other driver that we haven't actually touched on but has had a really quite astonishing run in this is Charles Rainford, because he was put to the back of the grid, wasn't he, after being excluded from race 2. So he started 25th. That was effectively 23rd because we had 2 non-starters. But Charles Rainford, and there he is in 8th place. How about that?
That's astonishing, yeah. What a terrific drive he's had. Just shows that BMW can, when it works, it really works, doesn't it?
Charles has been one of the real standout rookies this season, and he's got great competitive spirit. Very different style of racing from Carrera Cup, but yeah, he certainly looks like he belongs, that's for sure. And he's not done yet, of course. He's 8th, but we've got a few more laps, hopefully. Still 2 go. Right, so lights are on the safety car. It comes through Druids. Gordon Shedden is your race leader. There'll be a lot of nervous faces on the Toyota Gazoo Racing UK pit wall as they like to go out, because on a home circuit for Speedworks they'd like a win, and Gordon Shedden has had a really tough return to the championship, but can he hang on in there?
And once again they've gone out the same place, so only the front half of the grid will actually be aligned. They're not supposed to be more than 2 car lengths apart, but it's only the front grid that's doing that.
So we're going to go racing again, as now Gordon Shedden accelerates away. So is Ash Sutton going to make a move against Jake Hill? Yes, he is, but Jake covers that off. And all of that squabbling might just give the lifeline to Gordon Shedden that he needs. So Shedden leads, Hill second, Sutton is third, Rowbottom is fourth, small gap to Proctor fifth. So it's really that leading quartet we need to keep an eye on. And this is Sutton's view. That's Jake Hill ahead as they go down towards Cascades. But Shedden still leads. It's an 18-lap race now, and we've got just under 5 to go.
Yes, and of course you've got a drier part of the track now. Oh no, Nick Hamilton is now off.
And down towards Island Bend they come, but that surely is going to be another safety car period, and that, I fear, would take us to the end.
I think it could well do. What a shame, but
that's Charles Rainford on his toes. He gets up past James Dorlin. Over the brow they come. This is for 7th place. So down towards Hislop, Gordon Shedden leads. Maybe the teams will be on the radio to the likes of Hill and Sutton saying there might be another safety car, so make a move if you can as soon as possible. There's no hanging about to be done now. You've got to get there. Out of Knickerbrook, up Clay Hill for the 14th time of asking. Tom Ingram gaining ground on the outside line. The car squirming a little bit as the damp conditions are still there, ready to catch out 1 or 2. I'm keeping an eye on what the flags and the boards around the circuit are doing, because right now we are still under green flag conditions, and we've still got Gordon Shedden as the race leader as he covers off the inside line. He's not a triple champion for nothing, is he? All of that experience to good use. Look at that, slows the car on the apex. Jake Hill looking for a way past him. Here they come out of Dearly, over the line, down towards Old Hall. But it's that next right-hander where Nick Hamilton had his moment, and as they come into the corner, yellow flag, so not an overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, clever driving by Shedden. He knows the rear-wheel drive BMW can come off Lodge well with its rear-wheel drive traction, so he just stopped the car on the apex and pulled out the corner on the inside. So there was no chance at all for Hill to get underneath him.
Hamilton's car looks like it's been moved. Stephen Jelly's car has stopped there as well, but I think the race control team are trying to get the race to the end without further interruptions. So fingers crossed that we don't have anybody else in strife to collect a parked car as Jake Hill, Ash Sutton, Dan Rowbottom queue up behind the leader Gordon Shedden. A little bit further back there, look, is Dan Camish, and now Tom Ingram starting to gain back places that he lost early on. Shedden still leading Hill, and now you're going to see a masterclass in how to defend, because don't forget that lead gap of Shedden's has disappeared, but he's not been dislodged, as the next one up the escape road there is Sam Osborne.
Yeah, and good marshalling by the marshals down at the Island Hairpin, because although they had to put the yellow flag out for the stationary car, they got the green out before the Island Hairpin, so it still remains an overtaking place.
Absolutely right. So Jake Hill then now limbering up to try to make his move. Now he looks ever more committed, doesn't he? Down towards Lodge Corner. Is he near enough to make a move? Possibly not. Gordon Shedden still defending us there with about a length margin they come. And Hill, don't forget, is not only having to attack for the lead, but also be mindful of where Sutton is for second place. Out of Lodge, up Deer Leap, heading back towards the yellow flag zone. It's still Shedden's Toyota in the lead.
Yeah, and Shedden knows the yellow flag's out, so he hasn't got to worry too much about defending there. It's a stationary yellow now, but that still means no overtaking.
Does indeed, as Rowbottom goes a little bit wide coming out of Oulton Corner. So Shedden leads the way. Jake Hill in second spot.
Look at the cars squirming about now. The rubber blocks on the wet tyres basically turn to jelly as they overheat and wear away, and the cars just squirm about. The lap times are slow, but it's just a case of managing it. And the tyre wear, front to rear, is a very difficult one to manage. As a little touch from Sutton into the back of Hill.
The fastest lap of the race is done by Dexter Patterson on slicks. So Dexter Patterson is now 14th. He's going to run out of time, but it does show that at the moment a slick tyre is working better than a very used and overheated wet, as Hill slides his way through Hislop's leading quartet in one battle pack. Then it's Proctor ahead of Ingram, ahead of Camish for the next battle. Up Clay Hill, lap 16. Jake Hill, never mind Clay Hill, is running out of time here, isn't he? And Gordon Shedden is still hanging on in there.
Yeah, good old Flash. Come on, keep it going, 52. We'd love to see you back on the top step of the podium. And he's driving a canny race, canny being Scottish. There's Dexter Patterson on his soft slicks, fastest man on the track.
Next target, Dan Lloyd, as he comes up now underneath the bridge, heading up towards the water tower and then on towards Druids. Here are the race leaders. Jake Hill certainly not giving up, but he's running out of time and running out of options. The car looks quick coming out of Deer Leap. Over the line they flash together, and it's still the Toyota ahead of the BMW. Jake Hill close, but not able to make a move there. He really needs Gordon to make a tiny mistake, but this is where all of those years of racecraft in Gordon Shedden's armoury are going to stand him in good stead. 52
wins to that man at the moment. Same as number.
Jake Hill's
Look
off.
at Jake Hill, he's got lost. He's going to be on the grass and lose a load more places.
So that's his bid for the win done. Sutton goes second, Rowbottom goes third, and up to fourth it's going to be Tom Ingram rebuilding his race. Now it's all up to Ash Sutton to see what he can do about Gordon Shedden for the race lead as they come out of the hairpin, but we've only got one more lap to go at the end of this. It looks as though Gordon's now got a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with Ingram's car now the track has dried a bit, is it? It's working really well for him, and in terms of his positioning on the road, look how much he's closed up.
Yeah, he might yet get third, as there's a really frustrated Jake Hill coming down towards Hislop's. So he is now behind Dan Camish. That's going to drop him into 7th position. They come into the right of Nicker Brook, and Jake desperately trying to gain ground back again. But Ingram for the podium is a real possibility. Gordon Shedden leads the way. It's now up to Ash Sutton to see what he can do about catching and maybe even passing, as Patterson continues to do fastest lap after fastest lap. Replay of Jake Hill's moment.
Yeah, it starts early on in the corner when he just loses the rear, has to correct and go wide, and that puts him out on the grass where obviously he's lost all traction. And the team, Simon, his dad, very upset at the mistake. But it's a tiny mistake for, unfortunately, quite a big penalty. Final lap.
Yeah, last lap. And look at the gap now that Gordon Shedden's got. I don't think he's going to be under threat from Ash Sutton, but Rowbottom is under threat by Tom Ingram's advances for that third place. So Shedden looks as though he's finally going to bring some joy to the Toyota Gazoo Racing UK team after a really, really tough start to the season. And where better than on a track about, what, a dozen miles from the team's base.
Yeah, that would be a lovely result. Let's hope they bring it home. But a fine drive by Gordon Shedden, as you say, using all of his experience. And wouldn't Ash Sutton love it if his teammate Rowbottom could stay in front of Ingram and take some points off him?
Would he ever? So over Hilltop they come for the last time. Gordon Shedden makes the run down towards the Hislop chicane. He will in a moment thread his way through that next sequence of corners. So on his very welcome return to the championship, it is Gordon Shedden who leads then as the cars come out of Hislops up through Knickerbrook, the climb up the hill for the last time. And so Gordon Shedden, after his long spell away from the championship, looks as though it is going to be a race win for him. He's got to go back to Croft and 2022 for the last Gordon Shedden victory. And this one, the 53rd, is about 2 corners away. Make that 1 corner. He comes out of Druids. So down towards Lodge Corner, Gordon Shedden starts to celebrate. Ingram lines up to have a go at Rowbottom. That third place duel is not done yet. Rowbottom up the inside, Ingram on the outside. The checkered flag is ready though for Gordon Shedden to score victory at Oulton Park for Toyota. Shedden wins on his return to the championship. Second goes to Ash Sutton. It's Dan Rowbottom third, but only just. He was only a 10th up on Tom Ingram.